I never thought my kindness would backfire so spectacularly, but 2 weeks ago it did. It all started when I moved into my daughter Emily's house while my home was undergoing renovations. At 52, divorced, and for the first time in years without a place to call my own, I leaned on family for support. Emily and her husband Jack graciously offered their guest room, and I thought it would be a smooth transition. I wasn't about to impose. I cooked, cleaned, and stayed out of their way as much as possible. I even set up a joint account with them, contributing $5,000 monthly to cover expenses and express my gratitude. Everything seemed perfect at first. Emily appeared happy to have me there, and Jack was polite enough. But that polite facade didn't last long. Jack started making comments, subtle at first, about the house feeling crowded or implying I wasn't doing enough. I brushed it off, thinking it was just stress. But soon, these comments grew into outright complaints. One evening, Jack confronted me directly. "You're not pulling your weight," he said flatly. I was stunned. I had just deposited another $5,000 into the joint account the week before. I reminded him of that, expecting him to back down. Instead, Jack smirked and said, "If you can afford that, maybe you could help us out with a car. We need something bigger now that you're here." I thought he was joking. He wasn't. When I refused, explaining that the money I contributed was for household expenses, not luxuries, his demeanor shifted. Jack leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms. "If you're not willing to step up," he said, "then maybe it's time for you to find someplace else to stay." I turned to Emily, expecting her to intervene and stand up for me. Instead, she looked down at her hands, avoiding my gaze. It became painfully clear. She wasn't going to choose me over Jack. Feeling hurt and betrayed, I packed my things that night. But before I left, I logged into the joint account. The balance was $14,300, all of it my money. Without hesitation, I transferred every penny back into my personal account. If I wasn't welcome, neither was my generosity. The next morning, Emily called. Her voice was trembling. "Mom, Jack says the joint account is empty. Did you take the money?" "Emily," I replied calmly, "that money was mine. I deposited it to help with household expenses. If I'm no longer welcome, why should I leave it behind?" She fell silent, but I could hear Jack muttering angrily in the background. She eventually said, "I'll call you later," and hung up. Days passed without a word from Emily, and I started settling into a modest rental apartment. Just when I thought things had calmed down, I received a notification from my bank. Someone had attempted to access the joint account I'd already closed. It didn't take a genius to figure out it was Jack. Shortly after, Emily showed up at my door. She looked exhausted, and her words confirmed my suspicions. "Mom, Jack thinks you're being spiteful. He says you're punishing us by taking the money back." I couldn't believe it. "Spiteful?" I asked. "Emily, I've done everything to help you. Jack's entitlement is the problem, not me." She didn't argue, but she didn't defend me either. It was like she was caught in Jack's web and couldn't find her way out. A week later, Emily called with an olive branch, or so I thought. She invited me to dinner, saying Jack wanted to make things right. Reluctantly, I agreed, hoping for genuine reconciliation. But when I arrived, the air felt heavy with tension. Jack greeted me with an exaggerated smile, and Emily seemed on edge. The dinner conversation started light but quickly turned toward money. "Your house is coming along nicely," Jack said, forcing a grin. "With all those renovations, it must be worth a lot now." I knew where this was going, but I let him continue. "We were thinking," he said, leaning forward, "maybe you could sell it. You'd have extra money to help us, and we could all benefit." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You want me to sell my house?" I asked, my voice rising. Jack shrugged. "It's just an idea. Family helps family, right?" I stood up, my appetite completely gone. "No, Jack. Family doesn't manipulate family. I'm not selling my house to finance your lifestyle." After that disastrous dinner, I decided I was done. Emily's silence throughout the ordeal hurt more than Jack's audacity. I had always been there for her, and now it felt like she was choosing her husband's selfishness over our bond. Weeks later, Emily showed up again, This time, her request was even more outrageous. She and Jack wanted to move in with me temporarily. I stared at her in disbelief. "Emily, after everything that's happened, you want me to take you in?" She looked desperate. "It's only temporary," she pleaded. "Jack says it makes sense." I shook my head. "No, Emily. Jack doesn't want to help. He wants to take advantage. It's time you figured things out without me." Since then, I've focused on myself. My house is finally finished, and for the first time in months, I feel free. I haven't heard from Emily or Jack, and honestly, I don't know if I will. But here's the thing. Sometimes the people closest to you can hurt you the most, and sometimes setting boundaries is the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and for them. What would you do in my situation? Have you ever faced a betrayal like this? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about family and loyalty.